Okay, this video is going to be a little ranty. I wanted to talk about Protobelt versus Gunblade. I get this question so many times from people off of my stream, off of my YouTube, where people are wondering, why do I build Gunblade? Why do I build Gunblade when Protobelt's so good? And you see people building Protobelt. And I'll say before I even talk about it that Protobelt is a good item, right? You can get to challenge on Protobelt. You could do everything you ever want to do on Protobelt. It is a good item. But I think Gunblade is a better item, and I'm going to explain why I think that. So, the biggest problem, one of the biggest problems, right? There's multiple problems to Protobelt, from my experience with it. So last 30 mid games I've played have been exclusively Protobelt, just to test the item, get a feel for the item. That way I can get a really good understanding of why I like the item, why I don't like the item. The item is amazing if you hit all 7 bolts. It's one of the best items in the game. It could snowball you because it's only 2,500 gold and it's got the most damage on an active if you hit all 7 bolts. The problem is, not only is the item clunky to use, right? Realistically, it's a very clunky item to use. A lot of times you want to E and then Protobelt to get so that way you're as close as possible, then auto. But if you do it too fast, you end up E autoing, then Protobelt through. I've actually died because of that. So yeah, it just feels super fucking clunky to use. The active, it can snowball you, right? That's the only time. I have had some crazy ass games going Protobelt where you're just getting insanely huge off first backing, first item completion, Protobelt, and just roam the map with it. But I would actually like the item more if you didn't move on it. Okay, and I'll explain why that is. Almost like a Hextech GLP, but with the damage of Protobelt. Okay, and that's just because I've lost kills because of the movement. Okay, and I'll explain what I mean. So say down here there's an enemy with 1 hit left, really really low. There's an enemy here like an 80 carry with half health. With Gunblade, I'd simply activate the the active right here on this guy, kill him, and then E up and then kill the 80 carry. On Protobelt, in multiple games this happened where you have to choose between who to kill, right? You have to choose which kill you're going to go for because Protobelt moves you. If it didn't move you, you could shoot the Protobelt downward and you'd be totally fine and then just run up and E up. But you get moved. That's why I don't like the item. Not only that, but the clunkiness of it, right? So those two issues are huge to me. The other issue that I find with Protobelt from the 30 games I played with it is it's not consistent damage. There's a lot of variation on the damage. On average, you're probably hitting about 3 bolts. You need to hit 5 bolts to do more than Gunblade. Maybe 6, right? It's close. So, on average, you're only hitting about 3 bolts, I would say. But sometimes you're hitting 6. Sometimes you're hitting 1. Sometimes you're hitting none. There are so many different ways to dodge the bolts. You know what I mean? It gets creep blocked, body blocked, wall blocked. You know what I mean? If I Protobelt this way, some of them are going to hit this wall here. So there's a lot of times where it's not. There's a lot of variation on the damage, and it becomes really hard to get used to an item like that, right? Because you don't really know how much it's going to do. So then what it ends up happening is you're more rolling in Protobelting and just kind of hoping it does enough. You know what I mean? If that kind of makes sense. You're doing it and playing off of the damage it does rather than just knowing how much it does. With Gunblade, you get used to the active. You know exactly how much it's going to do. Now, Gunblade probably does 80%, 75% of the total damage of Protobelt that Protobelt can do, but it's consistent. It's consistently high damage. There are plenty of times where you Protobelt and it hits not the target you're trying to hit. It doesn't hit the 80 carry, right? Let's say you're trying to blow up an 80 carry. There are times where you Protobelt and the Protobelt does not hit the 80 carry at all. Not even 1 bolt. 1 bolt's bad. 1 bolt is you're losing damage on it because the item itself isn't gold efficient. If you look at Protobelt, it's a really not gold efficient item. You're paying for the active, right? Whereas Gunblade is 140% gold efficiency or 130, somewhere around there. It's a really gold efficient item. The Protobelt is 88%. So if you miss those bolts, if something happens, if they body block your bolts, something happens with those bolts, you're relying on the base stats of the item to get that damage finished off, which just isn't enough. So not only is the damage has a lot of variation to it, not only that, but the damage is also it's just, people can flash it, people can play around it. Gunblade is an instant, you know what I mean? A lot of people also like to say that Protobelt's better because of the distance, right? You go further. I don't like the distance, but some people say it's good because it gives you that extra inch, right? I E and I can't get to this, this enemy right here, so I Protobelt in and then I can E. What I'll tell those people, and what I'd say to you, is just try the Gunblade out, because the Gunblade is the Bilgewater Cutlass distance, which is farther than your E. So if I E, like right here, I could Gunblade active that guy. It slows them for 40% for 20 seconds, and then I kill him. Right? It's, in my opinion, it's a better gap closer than Protobelt is. It's more expensive. I guess if you got really used to the Protobelt, there's always the chance that, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe 30 games isn't enough. Maybe you do get used to it. That's just not my experience, though. So I'm just trying to relay, like, why I like Gunblade so much, right? So that's kind of like the pros and the cons of Protobelt. Right, I don't like that it moves you. I don't like the clunkiness. I don't like that the damage isn't consistent. But I love the fact that it's 2,500 gold for an active that can do an insane amount of damage. It can snowball you to winning games. And that's why it's not a bad item. It's really not a bad item. But the reason why I like Gunblade is it's a lot of damage. It's 250 plus 30%, if you look at it. Plus a slow, okay? So, not only are the stats good on it, it's gold efficient. The active is a lot of damage. It's guaranteed damage. Short cooldown, The healing on it is actually insane. Even if you don't want to go Gunblade, even if you're a Protobelt fan, if you're against somebody like Varus, for instance, like a mid laner like Varus, who pokes you a lot, Gunblade is necessary to win the lane. Because without Gunblade, you can get poked out. With Gunblade, if you get hit by a Q, you throw one Q through a minion wave, you're full health all over again. It's beautiful, trust me. So not only that, I love the stats on it, I love the healing, I love the active, but I also how was I gonna say? Now, this is why it's like clunky. I'm just doing it. But I think a lot of people just get turned off by the item because it has AD on it. But I actually even run hybrid pen reds on Ekko. I think AD is a good stat for Ekko to have. But give it a shot. Try out the Gunblade. I prefer it. I think a really good build for him right now for Ekko that I'm going to be trying out that I thought while I was at work just last night was get your revolver. First item revolver. Then you back. Get your Lost Chapter. Finish Monomicon. Go back, finish Gunblade. And then into Lichbane. I'm going to try it out, let you guys know how it goes, but I think it's going to be great, if I'm being honest. It gives you a lot of CDR, a lot of damage. Revolver's insane in lane. Obviously, you'd go Revolver, or you'd go Gunblade first. Just skip the Monomicon if it's a heavy poke lane, though. But, yeah, so that's basically it. You can still build Protobelt. It's still a good item. I just don't like the inconsistency of the damage, the clunkiness of the active, and I don't like the base stats because it's not gold efficient, so without the active it's just not even slot efficient. So if something fucks up, you're kind of at a disadvantage for building it. Whereas Gunblade, if you don't have the active, it's still a great item. The stats are still great. On a side note, I just want to say, I've been uploading to YouTube and been streaming on Twitch, and I see a lot of the same people in the comments of YouTube, and I see a lot of the same people, talking in my Twitch chat and stuff, and I just want to thank you guys so much. It's really cool seeing the same people all the time, and, I see the same guys, first commenting, and, it's a good feeling, right? It's cool, you get to meet new people, it's a lot of fun, and, I just really appreciate all of you who sit there and, they watch Twitch or check the YouTube videos out or anything like that, and if anybody wants to add me, I'm on the NA server, St. Killian, just send me a friend request. I accept all requests. If you have any questions, you can ask me there through messages. I'll try to get to you if I'm not in game. You can also hop on my Twitch. You can tweet me. I've got a Twitter, St. Killian 2. It has to be a 2. Somebody took St. Killian. Or my YouTube, just comment. So, yeah, thanks so much, guys. I really appreciate everything.